Greetings. My name is John Peterson. I'm the Executive Director with School Administrators of South Dakota. My guest today is a fellow administrator. It's Tim Mitchell. Tim is the superintendent in Chamberlain, and we had big announcements last week. In fact, the Rapid City paper has been full of Tim Mitchell's pictures, but Tim will be the new superintendent of Rapid City next year. Tim's in town here to be a part of the last couple of days of the legislative session, and so I asked Tim to film a little spot here, a 10-minute spot, and to talk a little bit about himself and a little bit about SASD. So with that, welcome Tim Mitchell. Dr. Tim Mitchell, I think that was a big change in your life last year as well. You've had a lot of changes, Tim. But why don't you start out, even though I know you well, and tell the people a little bit about Tim Mitchell. Who are you?
Okay, I grew up in Yankton, graduated from Yankton High School, graduated from Yankton College. Some people don't know this, but my father was president of the school board in Yankton and signed my high school diploma. He was president of Yankton College when I got my college diploma, so I had to go on to University of South Dakota to get a master's degree, so I had a diploma that my father didn't sign, so I had some educational credibility. But taught in Yankton for 15 years and then went on to administration. I got a principalship in Chamberlain, and then I became the superintendent there. I've been superintendent in Chamberlain for the last 15 years.
Okay. Tim, how do you feel with the new job? You know, you're going to be the superintendent in Rapid City. I'm sure some of these questions that I'm asking you, you've been asked in the many interviews you've had out there, but you're going from Chamberlain, which has been home for a long, long time for you and your family, moving out to Rapid City. What are your thoughts on the new opportunity?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the new opportunity. Of course, any new job is kind of bittersweet, being in the community for 15 years and having to leave Chamberlain and all the friends and all the things we've done there. We certainly have had great accomplishments in Chamberlain, not all because of me, because of a lot of different people. I've always viewed myself as kind of a leader of leaders, so I know it's going to be in good shape for the future. But also, exciting new challenge. You go through the interview process and they ask specific questions, and you get a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the district as they look at particular different qualities that they want you to bring to the leadership of that particular situation. I'll always have Chamberlain in my heart. I'd been a principal 1 year, and they made me the superintendent, and I've been, we wouldn't be sitting here today talking about this, and I wouldn't have got the opportunity in Rapid City if some people wouldn't have put their faith in me a long time ago. And we've made mistakes, and we've grown together, and we've done some things, and we're very excited about what we've been able to accomplish in Chamberlain. But it's time for a new challenge, and that's what I'm ready for.
Tim, I also want to share, I guess, with the audience the fact that I know probably more about Chamberlain than I do most schools in South Dakota because I have some special people there, and that's my daughter, son-in-law, but more importantly, three grandchildren there. And I do know that you run a good school. I mean, I know that you have done an excellent job. One thing, and I guess that would lead into the next question, you've done well in improving student achievement. And in this day and age, that's a challenge for all schools to improve student achievement. And with that, I mean, you do have a fairly high level of poverty in the Chamberlain School. Tell me a little bit about improving student achievement. What are your thoughts on that?
One of the things that I think, it comes from my science teacher background. I became really focused on research and data and so forth. And one of the things that I've really bought into, as you know, and I've tried to promote in other school districts with some of the information we've been doing, is the whole idea of the professional learning community. And there's three basic things that are part of that I talk about a lot that we've implemented in Chamberlain to basically change the culture. I mean, it's taken 15 years, and we're really just starting to get into our own, and we're seeing some good results. But there's basically three things. Number one, you have to focus on learning. All right, and the focus on learning is very important, that you got to make sure the students know and are able to do what you want them to do. And as part of that, you have to use good research-based instructional techniques, and you have to build the capacity of the teachers to do that. So as you know, I'm huge on building capacity, professional development, training of the teachers, making smart teachers smarter. So that's a very important part of it. And then, of course, common formative assessment on a regular basis to know where the kids are at. So that's the whole idea of focusing on learning. The second thing is collaboration. I never felt that in a system that we work together well enough, because sometimes they say you have enough knowledge in your system, just simply making sure that it's implemented. So we work a lot on collaborative strategies to get people to work together. And then the last thing, as I said, they govern by results. The whole idea of having good data systems. And data systems don't just look at achievement data. They look at program data. They look at demographic data. They look at perception data through survey. And putting those three things together, I think a real good school district that improves student achievement focuses on learning, they focus on collaboration, and they're governed by results. And those have been the keys, and they work really well for us in Chamberlain.
Good. Tim, you've been a big supporter of School Administrators of South Dakota, our organization, and you're an active part of the South Dakota School Superintendents Association. I know I referred to your EDD that you received a year or so ago, and I think your dissertation was on professional involvement. Can you share a little bit with the audience your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if you want to be successful and innovative, and I've proven it statistically in South Dakota, it's all about building capacity of your organization, building capacity of yourself, building capacity of your school board, and building capacity of your teachers and the district as a whole. And as part of that, I think what's gotten me to where I'm at today and why I can feel comfortable about being the Rapid City School Superintendent, why they think, is because I've developed these networks through building capacity. And most of that has been, and I've got such great training through SASD, SDSSA, and AASA. And the fact that I've held leadership roles in all those organizations, I think was big for them. And I think they're looking at wanting to become a little bit more successful. And to do that, they want a leader who can build capacity and believes in that building of capacity. And so being able to bring about that fact that I've had this network, I've had a network of superintendents, both state and national wide. I tried to sell and say, how can you go from a school of 850 to 13,000? And I said, well, I have a lot of friends that are going to help me. I mean, you and a lot of others that I've met in this process have been very important mentors for me, and there's a whole bunch of people, and that's been part of being actively involved in SDSSA and SASD and AASA, and then the training. You and I have spent some time at some conferences seeing from the great leadership gurus of the nation and having those opportunities. So I would always say that one of the most important things you can do is to build your own capacity. It'll help you build your district capacity, and that's in investing in yourself and investing in your organization. And part of that is establishing the networks and establishing the credibility that you have, that you've got some very, very important training to help you move through this particular process. And I think it's been the winner for me, and I think you would agree that it's very important that those things take place.
Mm-hmm. And Tim, you refer to the acronyms, and a lot of people don't know what we're talking about, but School Administrators of South Dakota and the South Dakota School Superintendents Association, and then also, more importantly right now, AASA. That's our national organization for superintendents, and you've been on several boards there. In fact, I think you've had an opportunity to work with Secretary Duncan out in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, this has been a great year for me. I'm on the American Association of School Administrators Award, our governing board, and through that governing board, I've got some opportunities. Just 8 of us sat down, as superintendent sat down with Arnie Duncan and talked about reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. And then we were very honored to have him mention us in his speech at the National Convention for our achievement. And then now, as we're in the process of getting me to testify in front of a Senate committee on rural school turnaround. And some of the same things that we talked about today are some of the things they want to hear, because that research-based focus, that focus on learning, collaboration, and governing by results, how it's turned a small rural school district around, and can that be replicated, and can that turnaround model be part of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act? And I'm very excited about that. And those opportunities would not have come about if it wasn't for the networking and through working through organizations and things like that.
Tim, you got 30 seconds, we can't go over, to tell us why an individual like you, a young man with a lot of potential, stayed in South Dakota.
Absolutely. The people that I've met, the communities that I serve, I grew up and I was just taught that this is the place to be. I've had some opportunities to look outside, but I just simply felt that, South Dakota born, I have something to offer this state. And I think the networks and stuff that you establish and the respect and credibility you build is very important. It's very hard to start over in another situation. And I really believe in our school systems in South Dakota, and I want to be part of the next 21st century and developing great kids in South Dakota.
Tim, we're glad you stayed in South Dakota.
Thank you.
And we know you'll be successful in whatever you choose.